our region's business, improving our economy, creating jobs and strengthening communities, innovation, collaboration, transformation, and the people making it happen. Join us as we take a closer look at our region's business. Now, here's your host, Bill Flanagan.
Today on Our Region's Business, just in time for the holidays, a taste of premium rum distilled right here in our region. Plus, as South Hills Hospital seeks a better way to bring emergency patients through its front door. But first, the future of mobility in our region and the technology that's paving the way. We'll find out how rideshare drivers are getting a lift from a promising tech startup here in our region, and a big conference coming up called Road Trip 2030 that will take us even farther into the future. Ryan Green is co-founder and CEO of Gridwise, and Paul Platte is the senior marketing manager at Covestro, where his focus is on mobility. And welcome, good to have you both here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so we've talked about Covestro, had them on the show before, but for folks who don't know Gridwise, what is it what problem are you all out there to solve?
Yeah, I mean, so we're a little bit of context is we're operating in the rideshare space.
Okay.
You know, companies such as Uber, Lyft, Z-Trip that are operating here, many more nationwide. But the challenge is we're focused on the driver side. And there's quite a bit of challenges that people don't realize that exist on the driver's side. It comes down to their planning of understanding when should I be out on the road, understanding where should I be driving as passengers are taking me to different parts of the city, and how am I performing across all the services that I'm driving for? How am I doing as a driver? And really, drivers today feel blind on the road. There's so many things that are happening in the city around events and airport traffic and transit schedules, bus stations, buses coming in and out of the bus stations, and there's not a source that's helping them keep up with all the information.
So the apps, I mean, you go your Uber or your Lyft, you know, it's great for the passenger, but there's not an equivalent software that's really helping the driver make sense of all this or optimize all of this.
Exactly, and so it's a lot of data and information to keep up with, which is tough to do for anybody. And so what we do at Gridwise is we pull in all of that city level information, events, airport traffic, transit schedules, and then we combine that with the performance level information, helping you understand how, you know, when you think of your dollars per mile, your dollars per hour, your rideshare miles, your tax deductions, bringing that into all place. And we've created this one-stop shop for the rideshare drivers that is in the form of a mobile application that increases their hourly earnings an average of 39% by helping them find more rides in less time and track their performance across any service that they drive for.
Crazy. That is so cool. Paul, I have a great illustration of how fast this world is changing when it talks about transportation and mobility.
Absolutely. I mean, and for us, we've been in the transportation business for over 50 years, selling raw materials, basically polymer resin types of materials. And the pace of change now going on in automotive, called mobility these days, coming out because of the trends like with ride sharing is one trend, autonomous vehicles, electrification of the vehicles. Ride sharing, for instance, is changing the way people are going to engage their vehicles, okay, and it's changing the whole experience. Where if you were to combine ride sharing together with something like autonomous vehicles, the whole interior experience of the vehicle changes, and that changes the material requirements, which is what brings us to the picture in that technology evolution that goes on there. From a ride sharing standpoint, it also changes the experience, is that the vehicle itself gets used a lot more. In a ride sharing, instead of sitting parked 96% of the time, the vehicle is actually being used probably more like 95% of the time. So the durability requirements placed upon the surface materials is changing as well, and that's really what's causing a lot of our technical development to be happening.
Wow, and it's kind of crazy, and you think if you're driving a car, there's a lot of wear and tear, but the burden for the driver then, if this is my vehicle, you got to make the most money you can out of every moment it's on the road.
Exactly.
Right? That's the business opportunity, I guess, you see for your software.
That is the business opportunity. I mean, it's a huge pain point for these drivers. Is you're going out on the road, you're using your vehicles, and you're fairly sensitive to all those expenses that you're incurring at any time. So you want to make sure if you're going out to drive, that you're going to be most effective with your time. And
yeah, Paul, Covestro's had a presence here in the region for 60 years or so, and involved in transportation all the way along. You really see our region as a real hotbed for this revolution that's underway?
Actually, very much so. I myself came out of Michigan, so everybody would have thought of Detroit being the central, but quite honestly, Pittsburgh is a hub for all of the new technologies, with Carnegie Mellon really creating the foundation for autonomous vehicles. There's other ride-sharing companies that are here as well. There's a lot of research, a lot of development, a lot of investment going on with regard to, I'll say, the new mobility type of a sector. And we from Covestro find ourselves right at the middle of it. And one of the key things for us is to really work with other companies and other organizations from a collaborative type of a standpoint. We really find ourselves trying to help lead that collaboration, because what could raw materials really be doing to help lead this whole push towards these new technologies? And one of the ways that we're doing that is we're pulling together different organizations. We have this event, like you had mentioned.
Road Trip 2030.
Road Trip 2030 coming up here on the 3rd of December. We're bringing together not only automakers and suppliers, but also designers and researchers and everybody that's involved in this particular area. And we're spending a half-a-day summit going through the different types of topics and trying to cross-exchange ideas. And that collaboration, then, we're hoping to be able to launch us into other types of developmental relationships with people.
So these guys are looking ahead to 2030. I mean, you all must have thought you were on the cutting edge with this whole rideshare thing right now. Does this autonomous electric future that they're working on, is that a threat for what you're doing at Gridwise, or is that an opportunity as well?
I see it as more of an opportunity. At the end of the day, looking at what we do at a core for the human drivers of today who are out on the road, is we're helping them understand when they should be driving, where they should be positioning themselves at any given time. And we see that those two core principles translate directly into autonomous vehicles. Now, when an autonomous vehicle becomes prominent for rideshare applications, is that fleet operator is thinking, okay, how many vehicles do I have out on the road at any given time? Where should those vehicles be staging based off of how supply and demand is changing? Where should they be positioning themselves between each, after they've completed a trip? Where do they go next? And so those same core principles that we're focusing on solving for the human drivers today translate directly into the autonomous vehicles. And so I see that as an opportunity for us down the road.
That's exciting. If people want to get the app, if they're a rideshare driver, I assume get it online, right?
Yeah, you go to the iOS or Android, the Play Store, and you can download the app right there for free.
Gridwise, they're in business. If somebody wants to find out more about Road Trip 2030, how do they do that, Paul?
Able to also look through our website located there as well, covestro.com, being able to download information for it there.
Very good. Well, congratulations. Love to see our region on the cutting edge of figuring out how we're all going to get around someday in the future, or maybe tomorrow. Ryan Gray from Gridwise and Paul Platte from Covestro. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Next up, $1 million investment into South Hills Hospital's front door. We'll find out how it may improve the patient experience and outcomes. Please stay with us.